topic is pre-save your way to success. So what that means is we're going to walk through how to set up a pre-save on Feature.fm and then what you can do with it after it's all set up. First, we're going to start with setting up the marketing plan doc. So we will have this doc as a sort of template throughout this series, since the whole purpose of the series is to set up a successful marketing plan. We'll have this template available for you to use for yourself if you're going to be planning a release or you have something coming up. So if you have any questions or anything, please save them to the end. We'll answer questions. But yeah, so for today, to kick off this, we're just gonna put in, like, this is the template that I made for us to be based off of for this series. So we're just gonna sort of fill in just some make-believe information for our artists. So we'll say that Drake's releasing a new single, and we'll call it That's Hot. We'll set the release date for 30 days from tomorrow. Generally, we like to advise 30 days for a successful pre-save. It could be anywhere from 30 days to 2 weeks, because I know in the current crazy times, a lot of people are releasing music sort of on the fly. So for this, we'll say it'll be June, we'll just say June 10th is the release date. For distribution, we'll say that this is self-released, and we hold all of it. Like, we'll say that it's self-released worldwide. And then we'll sort of plug in the month, I guess, for the release. So we'll say May and June, with June 10th being our release date. For this, we're just gonna have this be a single, so I'll make sure to put the type of release. If you are going to have an EP or an album and you're going to set up a pre-save for a single, or you have instant grats rolling out, I would suggest at least a 90-day window if you have that luxury of a time. Generally, it's even further out than that if you're trying to do more with the release or it's a longer form release. So for this, we'll just say that we're releasing a single in 30 days and we'll work from there. So the first thing that I want to do is, beyond identifying the release date and my distribution company, which we're going to assume that you already have set up to start this, I'll want to create a pre-save link on Feature.fm so that I have that set up. So basically, walking you through this is the homepage of Feature.fm. I would just click into my artist folder. So I'll make an artist folder for this. Here you can fill in a bunch of information, but for this, we're just going to create this so we can create our pre-save link. Now with the pre-save, you can set it up really however you'd like. We have 3 different types of links, but for us right now, we're going to set up our pre-save. So this is what it looks like as soon as it loads. Here we go. So for the release date, we said that it was June 10th. And we'll say that it's 12 a.m. because that's when most releases convert. For this, we would put in a scan source here, so I can just pick a random Drake song. Let's just pick a playlist to follow. Right. Proving the effectiveness of Safari as a browser. All right, so we'll do Drake. I like to advise that you grab the UPC if you have it. For this, we're not going to have it, but if you have a release and you want to set it up, a UPC or ISRC is always super easy. So for this, we have the scan source in, meaning that this is what it will scan when it comes out to fill in all of our stores. Since we have the release being self-released through a distributor worldwide, we'll say that we just want to have the same settings initially. So for a lot of people, they never really edit the store selections here, and these sort of just scan and it goes live. We'll make some different nuance edits today, but just sort of just kick it off for Spotify. As many folks know, a lot of the purpose of setting up a pre-save is so that the person pre-saves a track, but also you have the ability with Spotify to also have fans follow after they've pre-saved the new track. So for this, we'll say that they're going to pre-save the scan source that I just entered, but for post-save, let's say that we have a tour coming out, so we want to have fans be directed to Drake's website. And then after pre-saving, fans get the option to follow the artist. So we'll say that we want them to follow the new release, and then we want them to follow him. So we'll just grab his Spotify artist page, and we'll put that in. So you can see here it has the artist. You can actually add 3 here, so you could have it be the Spotify artist. We could also add a playlist. So if he has playlists that are curated by him, you can, or for any of your artists, you can enter them in there and they can follow them. You can also have them follow like anything else that you want. So for this, we can have people follow the OVO playlists. Like I said, you can enter up to 3 in here. It could be an artist, a playlist, or a user. So that's pretty easy. For Apple Music and Deezer, you also have the option to enter a post-save destination. So we'll say that we want to drive people to the tour page because we're going to be announcing a tour. Some of these stores are not going to be relevant for us. So because we're self-releasing worldwide, we want to make sure that like all of our stores that are here are ones that we're going to want to focus on. So for this release, we're going to focus on just the big retailers that would be relevant for this artist. Angami, KK Box. A lot of these are sort of more international, like Asian territories in the Middle East. We'll want to make sure that like Boomplay is on here. Also because the artist has such a popular fan base and set of music, we can make sure that we're using TikTok, the use my sound button that we have, to make sure that fans can click from the digital pre-save link to TikTok to use. We'll want to make sure that we have some other ones. I want to make sure we're not going to be doing a live stream for this, so we want to make sure that we add some of the bigger retailers internationally, like Boomplay. And these links that I'm adding right now will be scanned when the link converts on release day. So if I have all of these already picked out, they'll automatically scan. That's why it has the little green button on here that says auto scan. So we want Boomplay, we'll want QQ. I'd probably add Weibo and Tencent. All right. Let's see what else we can add. I would want to add my physical store as well so that I could sell some stuff on my website. Hold on a second. Let's say that I want to add my website, so I'll send it even though he's not signed to Warner. But yeah, so you want to make sure that all of these are here and that you have all of the international retailers that you want to use listed on here. I like sticking with like the big international ones. So for the US, it's Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Pandora, Tidal, Amazon Music. Internationally, Deezer, Angami for the Middle East, Boomplay for Africa. For Asia, There's a lot of them, but the ones that I normally stick with are Line, Weibo, Tencent, QQ. Yeah, and then there's various other ones for South America and a few other countries. But since this is an international artist, I just want to go through these and make sure that all of the retailers that are listed are ones that I want to have show up. So because we have all this filled out, we can now click next to the next screen. The reason why some of these are showing up over others is because they have a pre-save function. So Apple Music, Spotify, and Deezer are currently the three retailers that we have pre-save or pre-add buttons for. Here is where we can actually like customize the link for the pre-save. So this is where it sort of gets to be really cool, at least on my end. So you can actually add a custom domain. So we'll just say that this is our domain and we want to say this. So this will be our link. Artwork, we can just Google a photo of Drake. I like to advise trying to, you can do it the old-fashioned way by like Googling and trying to find them. You can also, if you want, import an image. Sorry. You can also import an image from a URL. So if you just go here and you enter in like the Spotify link that we had as the scan source, it'll automatically scan it. If you don't want to have to like Google a photo of your artist or whatever you have. So we'll just fill this in. And then here you can edit the title. So we'll say, and you can enter in, you can edit the description. So we'll say pre-save the new track now, out 610. You can see here it's edited. I also like to take advantage of this feature for like post-release. So you, instead of having to come back and edit the link later, you can just say new track that's hot out now. Yeah, so you can put in a preview source here as well. I would just grab the Spotify link for this song, or a song, I guess. Let's go back to Drake. And we can grab this. And that can be our scan source, or our preview URL. Okay, that does not want to be my preview URL. It can be any of these services, so it could be Spotify, Apple, Deezer, YouTube, SoundCloud, or just an MP3 that's hosted on your website. Here you can actually edit the default display disorder. So for me, I would put Spotify. This is how all of these will appear when you actually have your link live. So all of these will appear as a default store. If you want to make one like inactive, you just sort of drag it down here and then it's no longer live in the link. As you can see here, because we have just pre-save set up right now and the release isn't out, that's why those three will only show up. Let's enter in a preview source. I can just go to YouTube and find it. If you're going to have a preview source, I would try to have it be something from your artist's YouTube channel. That's sort of a best practice that I could suggest. That way you're getting traffic to your artist's content and not somebody else's. So you'll see now it'll actually take off the photo that I uploaded and it'll actually just make the default the YouTube video, which is super cool. So yeah, so down here we'll be able to enable a timeout redirection, which we've covered this in previous webinars, but it's a feature that we have where you're able to add a redirect for people that click on your pre-save, and if they open up the link in their browser, it'll redirect them automatically to a streaming service that you choose. So I chose Spotify. We don't need to do any conditional routing rules, but you can use this if you want to like create a workaround for a direct link or various other reasons. So for this, we're going to sort of edit this a little differently. So as you can see here, it says like territory settings. So default means that this will default for the entire world. If you want to carve out specific links or specific retailers for certain countries, especially for like more worldwide artists, I would suggest looking at the streaming services or your artist's audience in that country. So for this, because it's a worldwide artist, we can actually add territories that we want to carve out specific retailers for. So like if we were going to do France, you could just toggle that on, click save, and then you can actually go to France and upload a whole different setup for France as like a country for the pre-save. So for this, if we wanted to just not use that video and just use a photo, we could do this. We could say Drake, and then edit the pre-release description to be listen, my new track is available 610. Choose your preferred music service. You can edit this so that it says new track available now. And then preview source could be what we just entered. I'm not going to use a preview source for this, but one important thing for this would be to make sure that the streaming services that are more popular in the country that you're editing. So for France, we would want to, I would put Deezer before maybe a lot of the other DSPs because it's a really popular one in France. So this is how I would sort of have it displayed, having France be the first. As you can see, it automatically sort of changes the language to the language that's native to the country. So this is French. This is what it would say if somebody were to access this link from France. We'll go down here and enable the same rules. So yeah, so we just edited France, great. And then for the layout, I like to use our advanced layout because it's just a little sleeker in my opinion, but you can toggle between advanced or basic. So for the next, we'd go to email collection. So you can toggle on email collection. This will collect emails that'll live in your audience tab. For title, we'll say subscribe now. There you go. And then you can edit the action button. So if you want to click something else, you can make it that. For social icons, I'd want to have my social icons on the page. So these are actually set in the artist folder. So we'll just enter a few so it looks populated right now. But always make sure that these are selected because it just adds extra eyeballs on your socials. If fans are like, oh, I don't follow them on this platform, then they can follow you. Social cards. So this is what will appear for the release. You can actually edit the pre-release and the post-release. So you have pre-release that says my new track, that's hot, available 610. And then new track, that's hot. Actually, we don't need to edit that. So yeah, so you can edit this. This is what it would appear like. And then for advanced settings, just make sure that you have your Facebook and Google Pixels in here, and then sort of any other information that you want to have. So that's basically it for setting up the actual pre-save link. We'll go in more into like territory management in another webinar in a few weeks. So now my link is all set up. So now I would take this link and just take the actual master link and put it back in my marketing plan, because I'm going to assume that I'm going to be sending this plan to everybody that I work with on my team. So then we have this set up. So one thing that I like to do is create specific links for my pre-save for each social platform that I'll be sharing this or putting this on in like the bios and really anything that I'm sharing. So for the pre-save, we'll be using the same link as when it converts to be a smart URL after the release is out for post-release marketing. So it's really important for me as like a digital strategist to keep track of where all my traffic's coming from while I'm sharing my pre-save link everywhere, and knowing that I'm sharing it at a point in time when my single isn't out so that I can see where all my traffic sources are coming from, so I can either put more initiatives in place to like promote with content or to put more money behind social posts. So for this, we'll say that we're using Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, because we'll be embedding all of this in our YouTube video links and stuff like that on our YouTube channel. And if we have a website, we'll want to have a website link. There's more social platforms, but just for this example's sake, we'll just use this. So we're going to take advantage of the activities tracking, and we're going to put together links, show you how to do this. So we're going to put together links that we can track on the activity side of the release. So how we do that is, this will be our main link, right? And then for Facebook, if we want to say that this is our pre-save link that we're using for Facebook before the release comes out, and we want to keep track of traffic that's coming from Facebook to streaming services, you put an exclamation point at the end of the URL, and then we would put pre-save FB. So we'll use this string here to identify that any traffic that we get for this link will come from this link. We'll do the same thing for all of these. So it's just exclamation point, and then you can write whatever characters you want, but I sort of like to just divvy it up so that it has what phase of the release we're in. And if you do all this work to set it up in advance of the release, as you're putting your plans together initially, it's so much easier to keep track of where everything is coming from. So then I would just go in and make sure all of these are working and just edit these really fast. We'll edit this so it's Twitter and YouTube. And then just make sure that you just save the links and relink them up so nothing's off. And I'll show you the reason why we do this in just 1 second. So these will be all the links that we have for pre-save. So I would carve these out as pre-save links in the marketing plan, just because eventually we'll do post-save links. All right. So the reason why we set it up with these is because on your link here, you can actually keep track on the insight page where people are coming from. So when we have more clicks to this, you'll actually see here the activities. So if we were to take one of these right now that we just created and we clicked on it, say that we shared this on our Facebook page and we just clicked on this from Facebook. So this is what it would look like. And if we click on one of these to like pre-save the track, right? It's going to make me log in. But if we go back here, you can actually see the activities tracking and the source for the traffic. So once this populates, it'll probably take a few minutes. You'll be able to see here that you had traffic from Facebook. And the reason why it's different from the rest of these and how it looks, I can show you on another link for a campaign that when you look at some of these insights, you're actually able to see that like what the traffic looks like. So if you were to go in here and see, you'll see that like, okay, you get total link clicks. You can see how many people clicked on the song preview, which is like that little video. And then you'll get to see where people clicked to their services. But the reason why we have activities is because you're able to sort of make it a little bit more honed in than just like the general analytics. You'll be able to see like where people came from. So like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever. You can even break it out on each platform if you really want to get super granular. Like on Instagram, if you wanted to see if somebody clicked from your bio or from a story that you posted to track engagement, you could even do that. You really can use activities tracking for whatever you want. I like to use it just to be super on top of my releases and just keeping track of everything. So at this point, we've set up our pre-save. What do we do with all of these links? So for the pre-save, I would suggest like on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, where you have the ability to sort of edit your bio. Let's go to Drake's. So if I was working with Drake, I would add in here the link for that we just created for Instagram. It's really important that you use the ones that are created for the platform so you can track accurate sources. If you were going to look at YouTube, where would you put the link on YouTube? There's so many places. There's a lot you can do on YouTube in terms of customizing certain parts of your channel for your artist. So if I was going to go here and say, okay, well, what can I do for my artist to keep track of everything? I would go to the About section. I would edit this and add a description with a bio and put my link in there with like a line that says, hey, my new single, That's Hot, comes out on June 10th with the Feature.fm link that is specifically made for YouTube. I would then post in my community section and put in here the pre-save link with maybe like a static video track of the first single that's coming out, or like a first preview of the single that's coming out to like drive traffic. I would edit all of the descriptions in my playlist for my channel and put it in there. And then to even get worse in terms of like the level of detail, I would edit every single video that I had on my channel and put in the link for the pre-save as well. It's so easy to do, and it's such a great, it's sort of low-hanging fruit in terms of getting engagement on the platform. If you were going to go to Facebook, there's a lot of places you could do it on Facebook, and it really depends on how you have Facebook set up for your artist, but you could do it on the About section and put it in your bio here. You could put it in the descriptions of photos that you have. So you could put it in every, like, descriptions for photos that you're posting in just your regular timeline. I would put a video preview up here and put it into the URL. If you have bands in town or Songkick, you can send out free messages to them, to fans that follow you. I would put it in my events once you are able to tour again, if you're going to be touring, I'd put that in the description. So there's just a lot you can do with the pre-save and like where you put the links. So now that we have sort of an idea of A, how to set up a pre-save, and B, setting up activities, tracking, and stuff like that for our release, because we've set it up quite well. I would sort of set the priority for the campaign. So you'll see here that like the link that we just clicked earlier for the pre-save on Facebook, it actually shows you where people are coming from. So this is the activity that we created for the marketing plan example. Now that we have all the links set up, we know where to put the links. What do we do next? So if you're going to be planning out your pre-save campaign, you're going to want to start putting together like an actual, like all the dates between when you're starting your campaign and when it's coming out. So I would look at just like the first week for this webinar and just say, okay, so we're starting on May 8th. I like to write out the dates because that's just how I like to lay everything out. I would put in here like the days of the week if possible, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we have the entire first week planned out. So what are we going to do for this week to sort of set up our release and our pre-save campaign? So for the first day, I would say post the pre-save link. Post this everywhere you can on all the socials with like some suggested copy. So like, I'm excited to announce my new single, That's Hot, is coming out June 10th. Pre-save the track now. And then put this link in. You can adjust this copy for sort of whatever you need or whatever you're going to be putting together. Let's make this over here. I would do this on every platform. I would also make sure that you have a piece of content. I like to do videos. They're just easier and they'll get more reach organically without any paid behind them. So I would put together a video of me like saying something like this or suggesting that like the artist say something like this and then putting that out there. I would also make sure that you're like looking at all of the different DSPs that you're going to be targeting for your campaign. So like at the very start of your release, what are the goals that you're going to set strategically for yourself? So is it going to be, you know, Spotify? Is it going to be Apple Music? Is it going to be Pandora? Is it going to be, I don't know, Amazon Music? And then trying to figure out ways that you can make a schedule for this first week and how it fits your overall plan. I would look at these as like, okay, well, on Spotify, I want to put up a new Canvas video, which are like the 15-second loops that you can put on. I'd want to create a playlist of songs inspired by the making of the new single. You'll want to make sure that you have an entire discography playlist so you can push that out. So make sure you have an entire discography playlist. The reason for this is that we'll create a link in next week's that will sort of help how to market that and release radar and all that kind of algorithmically driven stuff. For Apple Music, there's not a whole lot you can do in terms of customization, but I would definitely make sure that your artist bio is updated and that your photo is recent. You can do that through your distributor. For Pandora, arguably the coolest platform next to Spotify for me, I would make sure that you have an audio liner talking about your new single. I would make sure that you're tagging that audio liner on all of your music that's up there. I would also create a station, create a playlist station of all your best music, or of all of your entire discography. For Amazon Music, again, I would make sure that your artist bio is updated because that's something that you can't necessarily do on your own. And then I would also make a liner for Alexa. Mine doesn't start talking right now. That just says thanks for listening to my new single. There's no reason not to take advantage of any of the stuff that I'm suggesting because it's all free and it doesn't cost anything. And if you don't have it, you're gonna look a little lazy when a new single comes out and the photo of you from 5 years ago and your debut EP is up. So like on the second day after I announced my pre-save, I would suggest sharing your entire discography playlist. And then putting a link, and then obviously putting up a link to that. I would create a smart link on Feature.fm and do that so it's a direct link. But yeah, and then another thing that you can do for a marketing campaign besides just making your list of targets is also the content needs that you have. So putting in here like the social skins that you'll need, profile photo, website landing page, which we'll talk about next week. Yeah, and then any type of any like static videos or music videos. Also, for streaming, I would make sure that you have YouTube Music as a target. Make sure that your channel is updated. Make sure that your channel is updated. How I showed you with like the feature.fm link, so you can track traffic sources. Make sure that you have playlists. With a description. And yeah, so this is sort of like the stuff top level that I would suggest doing. And then for the rest of these days, you don't have to have a post every single day, but I would definitely try to like schedule out a lot of this a lot of this kind of stuff, like updating your channel, updating your playlists, because this link isn't going to change. The link won't change from pre-save to post-save. So you'll be using the same link throughout the entire campaign. The only ones that will change if you want to use activities tracking will be the string at the end of this. So if you wanna do this setup, so post-save, it will still be the same link. But at the end of this, the URL that's tracking the activities tracking, you would just change. So Facebook would just be this plus, I like to say post save. And then you would just do this for every platform that we already did before. If you do it now, you don't have to do it later, and it's already done. It takes like 2 seconds to do this, so let's just do this really fast. So I would just post this and then just edit the string at the end so it's cleaned up, and then making sure these are all linked. I just like to use the initials for the platform. Oops. So for Twitter, and then the easy thing is that if you have all of this work done as you're getting ready to gear up for the release, then you don't have to worry about doing it later on, which is just so lovely when you're going to be crunched for time while your single comes out and you're updating all the social platforms on release day. Yeah, so that's pretty much it in terms of like setting up a pre-save, setting up the first week of, what this will look like. And then you have all of these done now. So you don't actually have to worry about any of this stuff because you have a solid foundation for what your expectations are for the release. All of the basic information up here. I would make a note to put in your UPC or ISRC that you'll get from your distributor. Make sure that you put that in here when you get it so that if you just have all the information up top. Setting your goals for your campaign. I'll put a link here so it's like marketing goals. And then this way you have everything laid out and you don't have to worry about like, okay, well, 3 weeks from now, well, what were the goals for our marketing release? You already have them all identified and you already have the 5 streaming services that you're trying to do stuff with. Next week, we'll go into like actual strategy for what you can do on them, but you have like a solid foundation so far, including your actual release date and, a solid plan for how you're going to attack socials and update them with your pre-save link. So for these, again, I would just put in here like different types of content. So if it's like a Thursday, I would do like a throwback Thursday. Try to involve a streaming link. If you're lucky enough to have fans that will make fan art, do something like that. If you have like memories or anything like that on any of the socials, reshare those. But yeah, so this is like a sort of a solid start to our marketing campaign. And yeah, I think we can take questions now because I covered most of the stuff. Yeah, so one guy asked why we need all the different links. If you just have one link created, doesn't it already let you know where the clicks are coming from? So Richard, so the reason why we would want to create activities tracking is because you want to be able to track the traffic sources from pre-saving to post-save. So I would want to be able to see where most of my traffic is coming from before my pre-save so that I could allocate some of my advertising spend to that platform organically, rather than trying to look at the platforms and then make a decision on where I'm going to invest most of my money on release day. Activities tracking is sort of an essential part of marketing, and not using it or not taking advantage of it is really going to sort of not help you put together a solid social strategy or digital strategy. And there's no reason not to because it's really like super easy to use. The next question was, how does a pre-save ad link for an album EP work effectively if I'm releasing 5 lead-up singles in my rollout? I'm just going to use one link throughout the campaign. I wouldn't do 5 singles through an EP rollout because there's no reason to. That as an effective release strategy. That's like not I wouldn't do that. I would have like one single and maybe one instant grat. I would create a pre-save for my EP, and then I would create a smart link for my single that's coming out, or my instant grat. And you can use the same link for an EP that you have coming out, but it's like for marketing a release, you want to make sure that you're keeping track of every single thing. You don't just want to use one link for an EP that you want to have pre-saved, and then if you have like 3 instant grats roll out, you don't do that. I would make sure that you're like putting more effort into it. Like the whole purpose of using a platform like Feature.fm is to take full advantage of like a pre-save, a smart link, the action pages, which we'll get more into next week when we get into strategy. But a marketing plan is really just a roadmap for you as an artist to better market your release. So why not set it up as much as you can? I hope that answered that question. Marcus, what if you don't have a scan source on hand pre-release? Yeah, you would just get like the UPC or ISRC when you would upload that to AWOL. And then how are you supposed to have a song preview source if the record isn't out? What would I recommend there and where to host? I would recommend a video of like a 15-second teaser that you can just put up on your YouTube channel as like an unlisted video, and then use that as a preview source. You don't have to put the whole song up, obviously, if it's not out yet, but you could put like a 15-second clip up. Most artists do that from what I've seen in my experience. Is this document to be saved and kept totally private? Ban asks. No, I mean, this document is meant for you to use personally and then share with distributors or people that you want to have on your marketing team. If you have somebody doing press, it's really just a working model for you to use. I hope that helped answer your question. It doesn't look like we have any more questions at the moment. But yeah, thank you guys for coming out and watching this. It's super great to see everybody. So it's so great to see everybody like coming to these and sort of taking advantage of the platform. Dave, you asked, could I elaborate on the Alexa liner? No, I can't. It's pretty straightforward. You just create a liner and then you upload it to Alexa. All of the stuff that we are talking about here will be available in a webinar recap. So everybody who's subscribed for that will get it. For the Alexa liner, you would have to set that up through Alexa. And you would just record it like you would anything else. And then basically it's just, if you say like play X artists on the platform, it'll play the song and it'll play the message beforehand. But yeah, thank you to everybody for coming. We'll have all of this as like a recap for you guys. And yeah, I hope everybody has a great day, and we'll see you guys later.